shadowstats.com. Lots of free data there, very technical in nature. May not be for you, but we're going to interpret that for you in just a moment. And if you pay and subscribe like I've done, you get, a lot of other data. And that's part of what I'm about to read to you, which will take me less than 60 seconds. But John Williams does statistical government analysis, really, of analyzing the true state of the country's economy, reporting the true statistics, not the skewed stats, and then analyzing them so we understand the impact this is going to have down the road. And so I do want to read this to you. Please pay very close attention to these words, and then as I concluded, heed the call. Again, this is about 60 seconds of dialogue. I'm reading from a document March 15th, 2011, I received from John Williams. And again, this report I made available to you, assetpreservationinstitute.org, flash screen, wait for the PDF to come around, click, and you'll have the whole report. The U.S. economic and systemic solvency crisis for the past 4 years only have been precursors to the coming Great Collapse, a hyperinflationary Great Depression. Such will encompass, and please listen to these words, he's using very strong language, such will encompass a complete collapse in the purchasing power of the U.S. dollar, a collapse in the normal stream of U.S. commercial and economic activity, a collapse in the U.S. financial system as we know it, and a likely realignment of the U.S. political environment. And I believe we are seeing that unfold as we speak. When you look at the world events, why are they bombing Libya? What's going on in the Middle East, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, so he says his outside timing remains the same as he forecasted in 2009 to be for a full-blown hyperinflation remains 2014. So that's a little less than 3 years for a full-blown hyperinflation. But I'm quoting, moving into a full-blown, but there is a strong risk of the currency catastrophe beginning to unfold in the months ahead. It may be starting to unfold as we begin to go to press with this report in March 2011. But moving into a full-blown hyperinflation could take months to a year. And again, the furthest onset would be 2014. And he says that's based depending on the global view of the dollar, reactions of the government and the Fed. And again, folks, there's 40 pages of technical analysis and commentary to support this. I do want to close out his piece here with this. And in here are some action items for you. With no viable or politically practical way of balancing the U.S. fiscal conditions and avoiding this financial, economic Armageddon, the best that individuals can do at this point is to protect themselves. And that's what this briefing is going to be about. He says both as to meeting short-range survival needs as well as to preserving current wealth and assets over the longer term. So this applies to all of us, whether we have assets or we don't. Efforts there, respectively, would encompass building a store of key consumables, such as food and water, and moving assets into physical gold and silver and assets outside the U.S. dollar. So there you have it, folks. When you connect the dots on all the things I covered earlier, and this report, and anything else you already are familiar with, a window of opportunity to protect, preserve assets and life is narrowing, and we must unite and we must find the tools to protect against this. And so I'm going to come back at the conclusion of our discussion and talk about Asset Preservation Institute's 4 pillars. Protect life in this order. For those of us of faith, pray to God, preserve wealth, because our personal freedom is tied to our economic freedom, protect life, and political activism. And in there, we have lots of details, and we're going to go over a lot of these things with our speakers today. So that concludes my talking points, and I'd like to now, we've got a major outage of technology, I was informed by Larry via Kirk in Colorado, and so Kirk is unable to log on visually, but I believe Larry and Kirk have figured out a way to have Dr. Elliot on the phone, and hopefully we can hear him. Just do a test before I turn my time over. Kirk, can you speak?
Kirk, go ahead and start talking for a test, please.
Okay, hey everybody, this is Dr. Kirk Elliot from Colorado, and I apologize, I can't do it on video,
Kirk?
But the major...
Kirk?
Hold it, Kirk.
Larry, stop Kirk.
Okay.
As the comments are coming in, I would concur this would not be successful or workable. Cannot hear him.
Hold on. John, can you hear me?
With a delay, yes, I hear you perfectly.
Yeah, so you weren't picking Kirk up then, right?
No, let me make it very, very clear. Kirk cannot be heard. He's like in a tin can about 4,000 miles away.
Okay, well, that's the best we got with the phones right now, with this internet problems.
Okay, that will not work, so I'm going to ask you to mute. Kirk? Is there any way, let me elaborate on Stuart's advice. Is there any way that Kirk, let's make sure he's not on a cell phone. Let's make sure he's, I don't know if a speakerphone is better or not. I don't understand what we're doing. But let's make some minor adjustments as to what he's doing. And let's speak as direct into the device as possible and speak much louder. Let's try that. And then I'll let you know how we hear it.
Okay. Kirk? We're going to try another test. Again, just talk a little bit louder. I'm going to try to move the phone around, and they're going to let me know whether we're getting enough sound for this to work.
Larry, we just got internet service.
Okay, then why don't you try to log in?
Okay.
John? His internet service just came back up. He's going to try to log in. So I would suggest we go with Stuart and give him time to get logged in, if that's okay with your scheduling.
Is Kirk trying to log on? Is that what I heard?
Yes, he's trying to log on. So why don't you want to go with Stuart?
Okay, well, while you're going through this exercise, I'm going to talk for a few moments to provide some value to our participants. No, I don't want to interrupt Stuart once he gets rolling. So if we're moments away from Kirk, I'll tell you what, Linda will do. Is Kirk?
Hey, can you hear me?
Okay, there's Kirk.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can, Kirk.
Excellent. Glad you can hear me. Do you want me to just get started?
Speak.
All right. Well, hey, sorry for the problems there. We had a trunk line that got completely slashed.
Kirk, just count to 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Dr. Kirk Elliot, who has his PhD in public policy and administration. He focuses on public economics. It's bouncing back. I can't have the bounce back. I hear everything I'm saying.
Well, Kirk's free.
Sorry, folks. Just give us a moment. It's worth waiting for. I would like to finish Kirk's introduction as long as I don't have the bounce back.
Okay, John.
Actually, I'm going to complete that. Thank you. Kirk's PhD is in public policy and administration. His focus is public economics. He's a dissertation precious metals expert. He's very plugged in to lots of resources, and I'm going to turn it over to Kirk Elliot. Thank you.
Hey there, everybody. Sorry for the delay here in my internet connectivity. Our trunk line, major trunk line into our city caused everybody, 15,000 people, to not have any internet connectivity whatsoever. So I apologize. It looks like it's up and running, at least for now. So I'm going to get going. But you know, when we look at Japan, Japan is a major issue that we need to talk about, because with the tsunami that hit, we've got some major issues now globally that we're being impacted with. You know, back in 1996, the Ministry of Finance in Japan forced Japanese insurance companies to purchase U.S. treasuries, since the Kobe quake in 1996 basically caused major economic mayhem back then, and they were all waiting for the big one. Japanese officials were waiting for the big one to hit Tokyo. And so what they did was they made insurance companies in Japan purchase U.S. treasuries. Why? So they could liquidate when the time came, so that they didn't have to liquidate their own assets. See, that's the big deal, is they didn't want to have to liquidate Japanese assets. They wanted to liquidate foreign assets. And so they started doing this in 1996. So not only does the Bank of Japan own about $600 billion worth of U.S. treasuries, insurance companies there own a bunch as well. And so now, what happens? What happens when an economic crisis hits? Basically, they start to liquidate their most liquid assets first before they have to liquidate their own. And still, the U.S. dollar or the U.S. Treasury is the most liquid asset in the world. And so, because of the Kobe quake, expect to see a ton of U.S. Treasuries flooding the market. And we haven't started to see that yet. But believe me, that's going to start happening, because they have pumped in, the Japanese government just pumped in $2 trillion worth of yen yesterday into their economy to help rebuild efforts over there. Now, in addition to that, you've got the rest of the world. And this is a major thing that is happening that we all have to understand, because it impacts us very intensely. So, the G7 communities have injected 40 trillion yen into the U.S. or into the Japanese economy since the quake and the tsunami. 40 trillion yen. That's only been almost 2 weeks now, and that's $496 billion in 2 week time frame. So you put that into perspective. Our deficit, projected deficit for an entire year, is $1.5 trillion, and they just pumped in $500 billion of U.S. money into the Japanese currency, or actually not just U.S. money, global money, G7 money, into the Japanese economy in about 2 weeks. Okay, this is a big deal, because what is happening is that what we have to go back to is the carry trade. Now, what is the carry trade? Well, the Japanese economy went into a recession in 1989. And since then, they have actually had about 0% interest rates for the better part of 20 years. Well, those 0% interest rates have caused a carry trade where countries from around the globe start investing in basically buying Japanese bonds at 0%, and then going and they can invest in like the Brazilian real, for example, which is paying 11% right now. They could go into Ireland bonds paying about 10% right now. So see, when they can borrow at 0, and then they can buy something else at 10 to 11%, that's a huge arbitrage opportunity that the rest of the world has been taking advantage of. So they do not want that to go away. They do not want that 0% interest to go away. And if they allow the Japanese currency to go weak, well, that becomes an issue, because once a currency goes very, very weak and starts to default, well, then you've got all kinds of problems that ensue, because to strengthen that, you have to start raising your interest rates. Well, that would destroy the Japanese yen carry trade that countries from around the globe have been using for arbitrage